I know, it's kind of weird. And like I said, we're working on what's called the distributive property. All right. So throughout the beginning of what we're going to be discussing this week and kind of moving forward is ways to help us simplify expressions so we're able to go through and solve. All right. So a lot of times when we're going to solve equations, these are the first steps that we need to take into account, whether that's, multiplying things together, kind of moving things around and getting variables by themselves, whatever it may be. These are the early stages of what we need to do. So we need to make sure we understand these topics. All right. Essentially, the distributive property is a way for us to take a number that's usually on the outside of parentheses, and the parentheses separate either numbers like we're going to see today. Sometimes there's going to be variables. So like X, Y, whatever it may be, and help us to, combine terms, things like that. All right. So Joe, since you said you're good at distributive property, what do I have to do in the distributive property here? Good. So distributive property, take a number on the outside of my parentheses. And I'm going to have two terms on the inside. Notice I have a 9 and a 4. All right. And there's two ways to go about this. The first way is what Joe said, where I'm going to take this 6. And a lot of times we show it like this. I draw kind of arrows to each of those to symbolize that I'm going to take the 6 and I'm going to multiply it by the 9. And then whatever whatever operations taking place between these two terms is going to separate my other set of multiplication. This 6 here times the other number, which is a 4. All right. So in distribution, take the number on the outside, multiply it by the first number, separate that by whatever operation's going on in between, and multiply this number on the outside by the second number. All right. Is everybody okay with that idea? Are there any questions up until this point? Okay. What is 9 times 6? 54. Good. What is 6 times 4? 24. And when I go to simplify this now, what's 54 plus 24? 78. So using the distributive property, I've been able to take this expression up here and get a value of 78. Okay. Like I said before too, sometimes you might have a number you're going to be working with. Sometimes there might be variables still involved, right? Either way, this is my final answer. Okay. Any questions about that process? Now I want us to take a look at another way we could have solved this same exact expression just to verify that the distributive property does work for us. All right. What we could do is what's called order of operations. So we take care of what's inside our parentheses first, and then we go through and multiply. So what's 9 plus 4 give me? 13. And then using, if you need to, or if you're good at some mental math, what's 6 times 13? Somebody want to verify me what the answer to 6 times 13 is? 78. Well, notice that I got the same value as I did when I did the distributive property. So this is just a way for us to verify that that's the correct answer and make sure we're doing the right work with this property here. Okay. Are there any questions about that? So this is a way for you to go through and check your answers if you get something down in the end that, you're not 100% sure if it's correct or not. Everybody good? Okay. Let's take a look at the second example. So using what we did above, what should be the first thing that I do in example 2 here? Queen. Distribute the 8. Okay. And I distribute it to each term inside my parentheses. So then what would my next line look like? When I'm distributing, what am I doing between the 8 and the 3? Multiplying them, right? So I have 8 times 3. What am I separating the 8 times 3 and the 8 times 1 with? What's that? Addition. Is that what you said? Good. Now, it might not always be addition. Sometimes you might have subtraction involved in there, but it'll probably be one or the other for now. Okay. What's 8 times 3? 24. Eight times 1, 8, right? Anything times 1 is just itself. And then to finish this problem, I go through and simplify. Well, what's 24 plus 8? 32. So then this would be my final answer. Again, if you were to do what's inside the parentheses, you'd have 8 times 4, which is also 32. Just another way for you to check. Last example for today, because hopefully by now we're kind of starting to see the pattern in what we're doing here. What do I have to do in this example? Distribute, right? Okay, but what does that mean? So what do I have to? Let's hear from somebody different. Jason?
7, 3, and 7, 8.
Good. So then what's 7 times 3? 21. What's 7 times 8?
56.
And what's 56 plus 21? 77.
Oh, 2.
That's all right. 77. Good. Are there any questions about this idea? Like I said, this is kind of an intro into this concept. I'm just dealing with numbers right now. Eventually, we'll get up into variables and see how we can connect this idea with eventually solving equations. And that's kind of where we're headed moving forward. But let's make sure that we understand this property first before we add any layers of difficulty on top of this. Are there any questions at all about the distributive property? Okay. So give me a second here.